Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, September 21st, 2018. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker. JBook, the Nick Bosa injury, had surgery yesterday. Sounds like he'll be out a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks. It's basically a sports hernia. We can get a little more detail than that. I listened to some physicians talk about it on local radio yesterday, but sounds like a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks, but, it could be longer than that. I mean, are you concerned his season might be over? Do you expect to see him back in November? Just not that you're a doctor, but you play one on the Bucknuts Morning 5. What are your thoughts on this injury?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about it because I know a lot of people have said this is going to be an injury that's going to take time to heal. As you mentioned, the timeline of 4 to 6 weeks. He just recently had the surgery. And you also have to take into consideration a guy who could decide to just completely shut it down if he's not feeling right after that time frame, considering he's going to probably be the number 1 pick in the draft. So it's a concern. Anytime you lose the arguably the best player in college football, that's a big blow to the program. I know Ohio State has other bodies on the defensive line, but he's basically the best disruptor in college football, arguably the best player. So hopefully he can get back. Some guys can heal a lot faster, but I think it's going to be a rest and recovery issue and seeing what he can do from that point forward.
What's your confidence level in the rest of the defensive ends? Chase Young, Jonathon Cooper, of course, the starters. They've been playing a lot anyway. Jashon Cornell, he stepped up. He's looked good. I mean, Tyreke Smith has been playing a lot for a true freshman. They've got Tyler Friday in there. Just what are your, not necessarily this week against, Tulane, but next week against Penn State. What's your confidence level in those guys?
I'm confident in their abilities. I'm a little nervous about the depth there. Obviously, you can't afford to lose anyone else, or it's going to be a major issue. I think the guys that you mentioned, and I think Cooper is starting to come on as well. You're starting to see him to be a little disruptive. I think Chase Young got locked up in the TCU game. He was very quiet, so let's see if he can get back on track because they're absolutely going to need him. And I know the other day Dreamon Jones said he's even willing to go and play on the outside if they need him. Obviously, him playing some DN in years past, so I wouldn't be surprised if they try to kick him out a little bit. So I think talent-wise, I'm very confident in them. I think they can get the job done. I am a little nervous about the depth. We can't afford to have any further injuries at that position, or it's going to be very concerning at that point.
Yeah, talk more about Dre'Mont Jones. He can move around, he can play tackle, he can play end, because I think, especially in a game like Penn State next week, you want to have your best lineman out there. Without Nick Bosa, you could see a scenario, because they're pretty deep at defensive tackle. They could have B.B. Landers, of course, at D tackle, and a number of guys in there with them. Devon Hamilton, Haskell Garrett, Teron Vincent. They got a bunch of guys. I think Tommy Togiai, even for a true freshman, looks fantastic. So they could plug one of those guys in there, have Dre'Mont out there at D end, and kind of rotate Chase Young and Jonathon Cooper. Get Dre'Mont back in the middle at D tackle, have Cooper and Young out there at the same time at defensive end. So I like that idea a lot. Talk more about how maybe Dre'Mont Jones can move around a little bit, and it'd be nothing new for him, of course.
Right, but the thing that you're getting from Dre'Mont Jones is he's playing at an extremely high level right now. Now, obviously, some people can say, well, Dre'Mont Jones wasn't getting the attention because a lot of teams were scheming and trying to game plan to slow down Bose, so that was leaving Dre'Mont Jones as the guy who had the opportunity to really step up. So he has the opportunity right now to really put his name on the map as a prime-time player. Obviously, his stock is continuing to soar. I saw recently CBS Sports had him going number 5 overall in their latest mock draft to the Detroit Lions. So that kind of lets you know the trajectory of him. But as far as him in scheming, I think Ohio State is going to have to maximize his ability here. The guy is very disruptive. Obviously, he, as you mentioned, moved around several times. I wouldn't mind seeing him playing the strong side of the football at defensive end, kicking them inside a little bit on passing downs, some third and longs, and then bringing Chase Young and Jonathon Cooper in as your pass rushing D ends. So they have the opportunity to really mix and match here, especially when you got guys who can rotate in at the defensive tackle. But the key is, can he flourish as being the man? Because he's going to be considered the man. Now, going forward, teams are going to point him out. They're going to know where he's at all times, and they're going to scheme to try to slow him down. How does he perform going forward when teams are focusing on him as opposed to focusing on Bosa? So that's what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah, Dre'Mont's an absolute stud, and a guy that could be a future stud. I mean, he's looking good when he's playing already right now. Redshirt freshman DB, Shaun Wade. Greg Schiano's comments Wednesday after practice were interesting to me. You know, he parses his words very carefully. He's more like into coach speak than anybody else on the staff by far, Greg Schiano. And, you know, when he was asked if Shaun Wade could possibly play some safety, in addition to doing what he's doing right now at nickel, Shaun was like, oh, yeah, of course. You know, you can play corner, you can play nickel, you can play safety. He's like, he's playing a lot of safety in practice. I mean, he just lit up. That was so un-Greg Schiano-like, but it was very telling for me how much he likes Shaun Wade. I think JBook, what we're seeing from Isaiah Pryor and Jocelyn Wint, I like Wint on special teams a lot. I don't like him so much at safety, but I think the best thing for the Buckeyes, they have a stud in Jordan Fuller. Jordan Fuller, I think, is going to be an NFL standout one day. That's how good he is. So they know they got a really good player in Jordan Fuller. I think the best thing for the Buckeyes is to have Shaun Wade be the starter at safety opposite Fuller. I mean, just your thoughts on the Shaun Wade situation.
I absolutely agree. To me, I personally think Shaun Wade is our best cover guy. I think he's that talented on the field. The guy with his size, he can play the safety position, and his athleticism allows him to play in the nickel, in the slot, as well as the outside if being asked to do that. To me, there is a major concern opposite of Jordan Fuller. I have not seen anything thus far to tell me that Wint or Pryor is the answer at the opposite safety position. And I think you have to find a way to get Wade on the field. If they have faith that he can be a guy that's going to plug that hole and also be a difference maker, please get him back there at safety full time and ensure of that defense. There's way too many leaks and big plays happening back there. One thing that you saw from Shaun Wade in the TCU game is he is not afraid to come up and hit you. Now, at safety, you got to have a guy that's going to be able to also help in that run support if needed be, and I think Shaun Wade has that ability because he will put a hat on you if he needs to. But overall, I think he, pound for pound, is our best cover guy, and the guy has a star. He has a star in the making because his versatility is a rarity as far as DB. And the reason I say that is corners, they're a special breed because you're out there on the island. And when you're playing on a level at Ohio State, you got to be able to have the feet and the technique and the eye discipline to really flourish as a cover guy on the island. And Shaun Wade has that. And then you also have safeties. A lot of times safeties don't have that skill set to be able to flip those hips and be fluid enough in the hips to be an excellent cover guy. But you have that in Wade. So him being so naturally gifted with his skill set, I think would be a huge addition to the safety position if they decide to move him back there full time.
I want to close out with some recruiting discussion. Buckeyes currently ranked 15th in the country in the 24/7 Sports Composite Team recruiting rankings. Kind of odd to see them there that low this late in the season. They have 14 commitments. I have no doubt they're going to have a good rise. Still, their average, rating is really good, 92.41, really good. But you have Michigan is ranked 7th overall in the country. Yeah, Michigan's average rating isn't that good, 89.6. But still, I mean, my question for you, sir, are you concerned about Ohio State's recruiting?
No, not at all. I'm not concerned at all. Obviously, you weren't going to be picking up a bevy of commitments with Urban Meyer on suspension, and the whole saga just now pretty much being recently wrapped up. I know a lot of recruits were saying they were just in wait and see mode to see what actually comes about. And I think this is going to be a situation where Ohio State is going to close once again extremely well coming down the stretch in December in the first early signing period, and then finish up with February signing period. If Ohio State is right there in the thick of things as far as the national championship hunt, obviously the recruits that they've been targeting is still in play. You're not seeing a lot of their major targets committing elsewhere. So to me, that's a good sign. Anytime you can have Urban Meyer in the ball game, at least when it comes to their top prospects, you have to like Ohio State. So I'm not concerned at the moment.
You got to like JBook as well. Thank you very much to Jonah Booker. He always comes strong on a Friday. Appreciate it, buddy. And thanks to our listeners out there for tuning in to the show. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow, Bucknutters. Let's hear that Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.